Welcome back to MSX Gigabase, Factorio MSX Gigabase no less. So I have obviously extended this a little bit further, and we're heading over to a first of three copper supplies that we're going to provide to our GC project out here in the external, the southern extremities of my base for our GC circuit, Green Circuit project. Now, what's actually happened is I got to this point just, well, like about an hour ago, and then I had a crash, and since I'm only saving the game every half an hour or so, it had just not saved, and I had to go back and redo the entire last episode. So I'm slightly grumpy. But never mind. We're here now. So let's just carry on and make the most of what we have got. Actually, I think from memory I decided that I didn't want this bit, and we instead connect this one in here. Oops, not that way around. Something like that. Oh, and let's just put this signal in, because I keep missing that for some reason. I keep forgetting to update this. We are going to need some requester chests and some stack inserters. Possibly some of these as well. Grab some of those and those and those, and we're full. So I don't know how many of the things that we really needed we got just then, but never mind. They'll make room for us in due course. There we go, and then of course we want something like one, two. The 2 is just so they don't overlap. And by the time this is all done, I mean, we're at 229 now, it will be getting close to 275. We only need 10 per 10 miners per train per minute. So 1, 2, I think this should be enough. I mean, obviously we're going to burn through the initial supply and need to head out, you know, to the sides of each of these patches, because they're not actually that large, these patches, just yet. But you know, that's fine. And I think that was fine too. So let me grab the rest of the rail off this train, which is really not very much. How many of these guys do we have? We could probably throw some of them in here. Oh, they're just going to go run away actually until we power it up, so that's not a good idea at all. Let's put them back and carry on with our progress to the other identified copper patches that we want to include. First of all, let's de-wood. Let's grab this and head into whatever we find, which turns out to be a bit of an island. Or maybe it's part of a continent, not sure. We'll find out in due course. Yeah, I do have fast legs on, they just aren't that fast these days, I keep forgetting. They're not that fast due to our horrible UPS. But we'll get back to the UPS in due course. Now, I do believe that when I first went through this, because I had, because I've refilled the engineering train, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, I also, while I was doing that, I had a look at some of the the copper patches, and so we have a source of copper over here, but it's now 78,000. And really, I mean, this is way overkill. This little bit here is probably never going to get tapped, but I will let this little bit completely drain out. Maybe if I have time, I can try and rearrange miners to even more aggressively tap them than that. We also have a tiny bit of copper over here, which is now 294,000. That's really not going to take too long, and that's the entire copper in the interior. We have this iron in the interior as well, this 14 million, but I'm not going to wait for that to deplete. Basically what's going to happen is once our copper has completely gone, we will move copper, we'll separate out copper so that it solely accesses from the external area, and there's plenty of copper for this to reach out to. It's not like that's going to be an issue. But there is this one here, the 2.5 million, that I really would like to also deplete so that I can reorganize all of this and turn this into a pre-stacker based system rather than the current system that it is. And there's plenty of room on this side for turning it into a pre-stacker. We just might have to move this and find somewhere to put the fuel, which this one's sort of in the way of, but we could completely rip it up and turn it around and do all sorts of fancy things, because we might have to, given how big these windows are that are getting burnt in. The idea generally being that once you burn these windows, you can shift some of the stations over, and then they can burn into this bit and, you know, over a little bit. That's kind of how it's supposed to work. Anyway, let's carry on with our task at hand, which is to lay track aggressively to our next station, which will be on the other side of all of this. This must be an island, or even if it's connected here, it doesn't really matter. I mean, we need to come up here, so we need to keep going. It's certainly not helpful losing a whole lot of time to a power outage. I don't have a UPS, but maybe it is worth investing in one. So the power is certainly not as good as I would like it to be here. I seem to get a lot of power spikes or something that keeps flicking my circuit breakers. An old house though, so it could be that the wiring just wasn't that good, although the wiring is actually, well, it's connecting. So some of the house is quite new and some of it's quite old, so I guess I'm getting the worst of both worlds with that. But anyway, not to worry. Things seem to be fine just now. Let's hope that that will continue to be the case. We are going to be out of rail very, very soon. But we should have plenty back at our supply station for this whole exercise. Although in truth that supply station is a very, very long way away from us right now. It is, in fact, way over here. Not a small way. And yeah, I think we'll run out before we get to this guy, so we're going to have to run back to that stop. At least we ordered a bunch of supplies, so it will certainly have what we need to carry on. Which is mainly just track and medium poles, I guess. I think I have signals. Yeah, I still have a reasonable number of signals. Where do we want to do this? We probably want to do it sort of here, actually. So let's do that. Back the train up. Better fix these signals up since I didn't do my usual trick of removing them first. That's fine. Alright, we'll go this side. And obviously this patch is going to be in our way. There we go. And we are out of rail. Is that completely out? It looks like it's completely out. Alright, we will head back. Now, I think I actually have to manually drive back for the time being, just because of how we enter, how we're using kind of the fuel stop to, I mean, I could try. GC external, can you get there? No, I didn't think you could. That's why we have to do it manually. So that hashtag GC external is obviously our engineering train stop at our supply depot for this whole project. So yeah, that's where we're going. Basically grab as much rail as we can carry. And some more big poles too. So I am now further than I was before my power failure, so that at least is good. But, I mean, it's one thing losing the game and having to... Whoopsies, that's not what we wanted to do. This isn't going to work either. Let me just navigate from the front. I need to get onto the bottom line. So if we come down here, well, that's something at least. Back up to there. Now head up here. Now we should be able to get to GC external. There we go. So yeah, the places we are trying to get to, obviously it's this one, and then we have to reorganize this in such a way. I mean, I'd kind of like to protect my ability to get here, so it might be that I have to come up and sort of wrap around and then come down. Something like that might be the best way of doing it, so that this 160 million is available, because certainly these trains are likely to get through these other ones fairly quickly, or at least blocking it off would seem to be fairly short-sighted, so let's try not to be too short-sighted. And it looks like the rubbish train is going to be called once again. How are we doing over here? It looks like so we must have quite a lot in here, actually. We do. Alright, let's get the bots to deliver, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4,000. which incidentally will also make a bit of space in here. And let's see if we can get some medium poles, big poles as well, while we're about it. There we go. Is that it? Maybe we're short big poles. Yeah, that looks like all the ones that we can get. Alright, well, that will have to do. Now the only question is, do I want to come up here and grab some more landfill? How much do I have? Actually not that much, but I haven't left much room either. I think I'll just run with what I've got. If I'm not quite so hopeless at getting back onto this bit of track, it doesn't take that long to get to there. But at least we don't have to drive all the way back to our central supply. That would be a little bit tedious. And mining productivity 229 can't be too far off, as is satellites 13,000 coming up. I don't know what it's going to be at when we get to mining productivity 275, but I mean, that is actually quite a lot of additional science, so it could quite easily be sort of 17,000 or the likes. Well, I'm not getting particularly excited over each 1,000. Doesn't really mean anything. Right, we're almost back here. Awesome. Get a little bit closer to... oh, we're going to need some of that landfill immediately. Okay, if we're coming in here, where exactly do I want this part to be? Actually, that works quite well, so let's do something like that. Whoops, let's get that one, clear off some of this nonsense. At least it's fairly easy to get rid of the rock when it's blocking up your inventory. Now, I think right now I would rather have my inventory emptied rather than filled up. What do we need? We need the blue chests, and we need stack inserters. And it looks like we need some more medium poles as well. We are going to need some of those. Let's try that. Leave the train behind for now. There we go. Still have a bit of each, that's good. Right, now, miners for this area. One, two, And yeah, certainly by the time we are done and have this thing up and running, I mean, we won't be at 275, but we're getting into the vicinity, so I'm not too concerned about perfectly matching 1, 2. Well, using like 16 as the yardstick versus using 10 as the yardstick for the number of miners per train per minute that each one of these is going to serve, especially these ones that are further away. They're not going to be serving as many per minute anyway, most likely, so just a handful of, we don't want to overdo the miners. Anyway, let's keep heading up. I might just go up here and sort of do a bit of a 3-point turn. Well, I guess it's a 2-point turn really. Just 1 point here and then straight on. Now, what are we going to do? Probably screw this uranium. We'll just go straight through it and we will cut out this bit, come up here to somewhere around here. Oh, hang on, we want to avoid that, don't we? Alright, we'll undercut this and then come up sort of over here, something like that. But the uranium both ways is basically, who cares about uranium? We'll go straight through the uranium and then head over there. So, poor uranium. I do like your nukes, and we are going to do something with your fancy fuel to save our fuel at some point too, but we are not quite at that point yet. Okay, that must be just about good enough. Actually, we'll go forward another section of rail here, just so that, you know, we get a little bit more of the natural land to make use of. Seems like a good idea. I don't have to rip this up right at the second. Although that's interesting, we've probably now provided power all the way back to some of the radars that we're using, so that's actually kind of useful, but that might not last. Now we need to come all the way over here. Okay, let's keep on going then. I wanted 4 in total, didn't I? So I've got, I had that one, so I've added 2, so I'm only putting this one in. But by coming over here, I guess we're also enabling this one for future consideration as well. Still have tons of rail, so that's pretty good. A little bit further. Remembering, of course, that we are at this dot, we're not at the end of the name. So, actually, round about there should do. Now that we've reached this point, we can go through, which as expected is going to involve some landfill. Let's get rid of track. I don't mind sort of jumping around this for the time being. having that power connected actually might be useful at some point. We are going to run into this water very soon. Hopefully we've got enough landfill to get through it. It's not that large a thing. I don't think we will have though, because landfill doesn't actually last very long. Oh, it's holding out so far. Fingers crossed that that's actually worked sufficiently. All good, and autosave. Well, I should certainly be able to extend up to finish off this last bit of the copper this episode, but that might be all, but that should still put us in fairly good stead to finally build our, rather than just have the ghost, build out the whole thing. It's actually quite a long way, isn't it? Hopefully we've got enough rail though. Going. The one thing we mightn't have enough of is that pesky landfill. Ah, there you go, 229's done. Alright, 230. Still not an earth-shatteringly large number in terms of how much each one of these researches costs to do. But, of course, it is hungry in terms of the materials, given that it uses everything but military science. Okay, let's see how far we can get. We need to basically cross right through this. So I don't think what we've got is going to do it. I have been wrong before. There, not wrong this time. Okay. Let us run back all the way to the landfill train, and oh, I have landfill on me. I have landfill on the train. Let's use what we've got first, see if that's enough. It might be. You never know. There was certainly a reason why I put some on the train. So yeah, it wasn't actually that much that I could fit, just whatever room was there. That's it in fact, but it does let us go a little bit further, so let's just do that. Should cross this bit at the very least. Not bad. Where do we want to turn? We probably want to turn and go over to there. Do I want to just put this into a T-junction so that I can go these two ways? Maybe. I don't actually have a four-way junction for either my 2-lane or my 4-lane on this map at this point, because they tend to be a little bit more complicated, but I did use them on my prior map, so perhaps I should, well, at least for the 2-way I did, so perhaps I should import one of those at some point, because this intersection would probably make more sense as a 4-way rather than a T-junction, but never mind. For now, T-junction it is. Let's get rid of trees and other nonsense that's getting in our way. And fill out through there. That looks better. And round we go, and back to our straight rail once again. How are we doing? Still quite a bit. We don't have that far to get to. A little bit more landfill required. We're almost at our target. Actually, we're skirting the bottom part of our target here. I guess we could probably do that. There's no particular reason that we have to start in the middle. But that does kind of seem a little bit too extreme. Something like this would actually be more to my taste. Let's try that. And of course we have found some bugs. Because none of this has been explored before. Goodbye, bugs. That nuke explosion isn't going to get old anytime soon. I knew there'd be more bugs hiding just behind the first slot. There just about always is. And I love how they ran into that one. Entirely sure that makes sense as bug behavior, but never mind. At least it helps cut their number down easily. Right. So, this has kind of come in too high, hasn't it? So I guess what I want to do is put in some of this slopey stuff. Annoying trees. Back to our slopey stuff. Doesn't quite want to do it the way I want it to. Come on, it's not that hard. Oh, that sounds a lot like a storm. It's brewing just here, so just so that we don't have another cut in power, I'm probably going to have to call the episode pretty soon, and probably was going to anyway. Let's just get the final touches to this outpost in place. That's mainly our well, get rid of the trees part, and we're going to need some more speed modules, probably some more of those, a few more of those, probably a few more of those. Whack them in. One, two. Okay, so that will do for our copper exploitation for the time being out here. We clearly can extend over to here when we need to, but I think 4 of these should do. We've got 4 irons, 4 coppers now. I obviously need to rename them. We need to build out this lot and sort out how the well, we've got green circuit stacking. No, that's copper. How the green circuit stacking is all going to work. I'm not sure how it is at the moment, but probably building out this is next. So that's what we'll do next episode. Thanks for joining me for this, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye bye for now.